You ever have a moment where you just know the whole room is about to turn against you, where you feel every eye on you, waiting for you to mess up, and you're expected to smile through it? That's how it started for me, standing in the center of that glossy, high-end dojo, my frayed white belt dangling unevenly while a teenage black belt named Jared called me out in front of everyone. "Let's watch how a beginner shows respect," he boomed, putting on a grin for the gallery of parents, his finger pointing dead at me like I just tripped the alarm. He made me bow. Not once, not twice, 3 times, as a row of black belts lined up like it was comedy hour, grinning and waiting for me to stumble. There were little laughs from the benches, a girl whispering to her mom, the soft tap of a phone keyboard. The floor under my bare feet shone like a mirror, reflecting all of it right back at me. It wasn't shame that made me hold still when they mocked me. It was something else, stillness, a kind of inner patience you earn after a couple decades of learning how to keep breathing, no matter what gets thrown at you. My GI was too big at the shoulders, clumsy across my frame, but I stood there quiet. One of the belt test officials even scratched his head, unsure if I belonged, and 2 investors in the corner whispered about whether the standards were slipping, whether I'd wandered in from a rec center. Jared called for another bow. "Make it good this time," he said. I did, holding it longer than before, and the laughter faded for a second. Just a beat of silence, and then he was on to the next student, the room quick to go back to its script. I returned to my spot and knelt in Saiza, hands resting perfectly still on my thighs. They saw me as an outsider, out of place, poor maybe, or just shy. None of them knew I'd bowed on that very mat 20 years ago, back when the whole room would bow with me. See, the Summit Valley Martial Arts Center was never just a dojo to me. To them, it was a boutique hotel in disguised jet black floors, gold trim everywhere, trophies and medals displayed by donor names. Even the calligraphy was framed and glossy, reading honor like it was part of a brand, not a tradition. There was no scent of sweat, nothing real, just lemon polish and fresh uniforms. The donor plaque by the entrance, the embroidered GI jackets with surnames, the bold logos on everyone's bags, all of it meant to show who mattered and who didn't. I rolled out my mat quietly, in my faded old uniform, my gear in a canvas tote with a busted zipper, and no one really noticed me unless I got in their way. Warm-ups? The circle closed without me. Pair drills? I was the odd one out. The assistant instructor, Lexi Dane, corrected my form loud enough for everyone to hear too low. Not in rhythm, her voice was flat, her smile fake. The girls by the wall giggled and recorded me kneeling alone, fingers tying and reading my belt, catching every awkward movement on camera. Nearby, 2 fathers talked about making the junior finals look good for some scout. "They'll let anyone in these days," one said, eyeing me. The head instructor gave nods to the star students, but ignored me, not even a glance. That's how it always when nobody cared who I was or why I was there. During self-defense practice, Lexi used me as her attacker, hitting harder than needed. The 3rd time, I caught my balance perfectly, and she frowned, turning away. When the others took group photos at the trophy case, I quietly set a broken board beside the cleaning caddy and slipped my sandals off at the mat's edge. No one noticed except an older visitor sitting beneath the old scroll. There was never any applause, just a kind of brittle silence behind all the shine. Night classes were harder, me feet sore from kneeling, the lights brighter, the air stiffer with donors, dignitaries, and 2 men from a prep academy talking about scholarships. Jared strutted across the mat with a mic, ready to perform. "Respect is the foundation," he announced, then picked me out again for the crowd. "Step forward, Rachel. No hesitation." I bowed, perfect form, again and again, until the gesture was meaningless, a show. The parents smiled, sponsors snapped photos, Jared joked about me being the class role model, and everyone laughed. When partner drills started, no one picked me, so Lexi tossed pads at my feet and told me to hold for Josh, whose kicks were fast and careless. Each thud stung, but I never flinched. Jared corrected me. "Not Josh, raise it higher. Be steady. You're making him work too hard." During sparring, I was left out. Lexi tossed me a towel. "Help out if you can't keep up," she said. Not mean, but not friendly. I cleaned sweat from the floor, folded the towel, and set it behind the podium, always making sure no one would slip. The etiquette chart on the mirror listed words like discipline and honor in fake Japanese script, but beneath it, I was alone. Someone recorded me, zooming in as I held pads for Josh. No drama, just focus me, breath steady, my eyes forward. When class ended, Jared passed out praise and shoulder taps. I stayed behind, picking up pads and towels, sliding on my sandals only after the last kid left. No one said my name, but a few looked back at minute out of gratitude, just confusion, maybe at how I'd stood so still, so unaffected. It was just starting to get to them, that stillness. Back at my apartment, a tiny place, 2 rooms at best, I didn't turn on the overhead light. I just reached for my old lamp and knelt beside the bed, pulling out a box. Inside was my father's old GI, yellowed but heavy with memory. There was also a folder, the deed to Summit Valley Martial Arts Center, my name right there as sole owner. 3 years ago, I bought it back after my father's death, quietly, letting the corporate group keep up their show, thinking maybe the old ways would return, maybe the discipline would come back. But it didn't. The classes got shorter, the showmanship louder, the ones who struggled were ignored. The stars became celebrities, not students. Beneath the folder was my father's manifesto. Strength means nothing without stillness. His words, written in sweat and time. My gold medal from Denver Nationals was there too, next to a torn photograph of us kneeling together, father and daughter on the mat. I remembered his hand on my shoulder, the quiet in the room, how different it felt then. Weeks passed as I watched Lexi correcting to impress the crowd, Jared making etiquette into a joke, Kirkland bowing deeper for cameras than for elders. Finally, I left the deed on my nightstand, not as a threat, just a reminder. And then came the demonstration day, the dojo packed, banners everywhere, everything glossy and staged. Jared took the mic, bragging about advanced sparring. Investors watched their kids, everyone with phones up, ready to record. I sat in the back. No emblems, no padding, just me. A sparring demo went wrong. A young kid got hit hard and fell. No one moved. Parents lowered their phones. Kirkland hesitated. Lexi waited for a cue. I stood up, walked across the mat. Nobody stopped me, knelt by the child, checked his side, helped him sit, tied his belt, then stood and performed the combination in total silence. Every move clean and slow, no show, just clarity. That's when the room changed. No applause, just a murmur as people started to realize who I was. Master Endo, an old instructor, stood up and bowed to me, calling me by my father's name, Rachel Callahan. Kirkland tried to laugh it off, but Endo pressed. The assistant brought out the paperwork. The deed, contracts, all with my name. Kirkland stammered. Investors checked their phones. The room went dead quiet. I crossed the framed corporate motto, discipline first, victory follows, and removed it. Behind was the old scroll, faded but real. Do not raise your voice. Raise your discipline. I placed the corporate frame on the floor, bowed to the original scroll, then turned to Endo. The dojo is yours to guide now. He bowed, accepting the legacy. I left my sandals at the altar, knelt, bowed for the last time. The crowd didn't move, didn't clap, didn't dare. I walked barefoot across the mat, the path I'd taken in silence for weeks, but now the silence meant something. Students parted for me. One boy knelt and bowed low. Others followed. Jared said nothing. Lexi avoided my eyes. Kirkland stared at the deed, speechless. Out in the hallway, the air was cool. My assistant waited, shining with quiet pride. A little girl ran up with my water bottle. Will you come back? She whispered. I smiled, touched her shoulder. It's yours now. Inside, Mia, the assistant instructor with the gentle voice, took her place at the front. A new banner unfurled me, Father's calligraphy restored to its rightful place. No applause, just everyone watching, holding their breath as justice quietly returned. As I walked out under the dusk sky, I realized justice doesn't always look like victory or sound like applause. Sometimes it's a quiet correction, a gentle return to what matters. I never demanded respect. I never raised my voice. But in the end, that's exactly why I got it. You know what I mean? If this story made you feel something, I hope you'll share your thoughts below. What does justice look like to you? When is silence more powerful than words? Let's talk about it. Your voice matters just as much as mine.